Story 1. He sat up in my back seat and whispered, "Drive back down," and I could see his mouth in the rear view, even though I had locked the doors and checked the seats twice. That is the moment that burned into me. It began hours earlier, after midnight, on Black Friday. I was tired, head buzzing, trunk full of gifts I did not need. The mall was closing, the wind was sharp, the parking garage was nearly empty. Concrete, cold air, lights that hummed. I parked on level 4 because all the lower levels were full, or it looked that way. The elevator was out of service, plastic wrap over the doors. I took the stairwell. The door clanged. My footsteps echoed, like I was not alone. I told myself the echo was normal. My hands were stupid from the bags. I kept dropping receipts. The stairwell smelled like cold metal and old gum. On level 4, the door stuck, then jerked open. My car sat alone near the far wall under a light that flickered every 3 seconds. A thin draft moved across the concrete, like breath. I clicked unlock. The beep was too loud. My key slipped. It hit the ground and slid under the front bumper. I swore and knelt and reached. Cold burned my fingers. Somewhere behind me a shoe scraped, slow. I froze. The sound stopped. I grabbed the key and stood fast, head thumping. No one there, just the empty ramp, the hum of a fan, and a paper flyer flipping over and over in a circle. I got in. I locked the doors. I started the car. The engine coughed, then caught. The radio came on by itself and played a dead station, thin static with a voice under it like someone speaking through a fan. I turned it down. The screen stayed bright. A message flashed, "Ticket paid." I hadn't paid yet. I told myself it was a glitch. I backed out, turned toward the exit. A shape stepped into my path at the far end of the lane. A person in a hood. I hit the brake. The shape did not move. I flashed my lights. The shape tilted its head, then stepped into the stairwell and let the door close slow, like a hand was on it. I waited. My ribs felt tight. I eased forward, past the door, and looked through the wire glass. The stairwell was empty. I took the ramp down to level 3. The gate at the bottom was down, red arm locked. A sign read, "Cashier downstairs." I swore again, turned left to loop. That was when I saw my trunk light was on through the rear window. I had closed it. I knew I had. I pulled into a dead-end lane and parked. I got out. I kept the door open with my foot and walked to the trunk. It was closed. The light was still on. I pressed the button. It popped. My bag sat there like before, but the one on top was open a little. The tape had peeled. Inside, the box had a cut across it, like a knife had tested it. I shut the trunk. The motion sensor light in the corner flicked off, then on, like something big had passed. I got back in. I locked the doors again. I told myself I was leaving, now, no second stop, no more dumb choices. I put the car in drive and checked the rear view to back out of the space. That was when a head rose up from behind the back seat. Slow, calm, close enough to fog the glass. He had a knit cap and a dry mouth and eyes that looked like they belonged to someone who had been awake too long. His voice sounded like a person using their inside voice at church. "Drive back down," he said. My body did not move. My hands would not obey. He tilted his head a little more, like he was trying to be kind. "Do it," he said. I said, "Get out of my car." He smiled, very small, like he had heard that before. He did not reach for me. He just sat there and breathed soft. I hit the horn and held it. It screamed in the concrete and died into a thin wheeze like the horn was tired too. No one came. The shape in my mirror did not flinch. He said, "Shh." He lifted one finger the way a librarian does. I saw a line of ink across his wrist. Numbers. The kind you write when you do not want to forget. I threw the car into reverse and floored it. The tires chirped. The car jumped back and clipped the concrete pillar. The whole frame shuddered. My head hit the headrest. I slammed it into drive and tore down the lane toward the ramp. I did not check the mirror. I did not want to see if he was closer. I took the circle down to level 2. The gate there was up. I went under, then down to level 1, then to the exit booth. A glass window, no person. A sign, scan ticket. I did not have one. I slammed the help button. It beeped. The speaker hissed. A voice came thin. Lost ticket? I said. Yes. My voice shook. How long? Said the box. 10 minutes, I lied. The box said, insert card. I shoved my card into the slot. The arm lifted. I pulled out fast and turned onto the street so hard a bag in the trunk slid and thumped. I drove 3 blocks before I looked. Up. My mirror showed only the empty back seat. No cap, no eyes, no fog. My chest hurt from breathing. At a red light, I looked at my phone. I had a new photo in my camera roll. I had not taken it. It was the picture from the ramp on level 4. It showed my car from behind, my trunk open an inch, and a man crouched behind the bumper, his face half hidden, his eyes up. The timestamp said 1:17 a.m., 2 minutes before I reached the car. I deleted it, and then undeleted it, and then put the phone face down. At home, I carried the bags in fast and set the alarm and pushed a chair under the knob like a child. I checked the back seat twice more, even though I was in my own driveway. I did not sleep. The next day, I called the mall and asked if security could check level 4 around 1 a.m. The guard asked my plate and the time and then said, "You paid $0 at 1:29. I said, "I never scanned a ticket." He said, "You didn't. Someone at the cashier booth opened the gate for you." I said, "Then you have a person on the footage." He said, "It wasn't footage. It was an override from the booth panel." We don't staff that late. I hung up. I went to delete the photo again and saw a new one waiting. It was my driveway, taken from low to the ground, near the bumper, at 3:13 a.m. It showed the back of my car and the dark of my back seat. In the window was my own face, small, scared, looking into the glass. And in the blurred corner, the curve of a hand on the edge of the seat, like someone easing up for a better view. Story 2. He leaned close to my ear at 1:59 a.m. and said, "We do this again." And the clock on the stove rolled back to 1, and my living room light flickered like it had been on for hours. That is the moment that set the hook in me. I live alone. First Sunday in November, the night we set clocks back. I made coffee late because I wanted to see the hour repeat. It felt like a harmless trick, a thing kids laugh about. I set my phone on the table. I watched the blue numbers on the stove. 1:51, 1:52. The house was quiet. The heat clicked and settled. The fridge hummed. I scrolled. Memes about extra sleep. I smiled once at nothing. Then I heard a soft footstep in the hall. Not my building neighbor, not the heat. A step, wood on wood. I held still. The step came again, closer. I stood and said, "Hello?" Because that is what we do even when we should not. No answer. I checked the door. Locked. Deadbolt turned. Chain set. I checked the windows. Latches down. I told myself the boards expand and contract. I went back to the chair and set my eyes on the time. 1:57. The kitchen light flickered, slow. A shadow moved across the wall like someone had passed between me and the lamp, but no one had. I looked over my shoulder. The hall was a dark line. The bathroom door was open 3 inches. I always leave it open 6. My heart beat in my head. I texted my brother, "You awake?" My phone did not send, no bars. It had bars a minute ago. I held it up by the window like that would change anything. Nothing. The stove clicked. 1:58. A whisper came from behind the bathroom door. It said, "No." I could feel the shape of the word more than hear it. I whispered back, "Who's there?" Because my brain was slower than my fear. It said my name. Not loud, too close. I took 1 step toward the hall. The bathroom door closed itself, inch by inch, like someone's finger was on the edge. I stood there and watched, hands open and stupid. The door clicked. The light under it went out. The house went full quiet. The stove said 1:59. My phone buzzed in my hand like a bug, a voicemail icon, but no ring. I tapped it. An old man's voice said, "We do this again." and I could hear my own breathing on the recording, like the phone had called me from inside my pocket a minute before. The stove rolled back to 1 o'clock. The phone clock rolled back too. The lights in the living room went bright, then low, like a chest. I told myself to sit and breathe because this was a trick of time and power and wires. Then I heard the footstep again. Same place, same weight, 104. The heat kicked on. The vents sighed. A picture frame on the wall tapped once. It never taps. I went to the bathroom door and put my palm on it. It felt warm. My throat went dry. I said, "I can hear you," because I thought respect might matter. The door did not answer. I went back to the chair and opened the voice memo app and hit record and sat the phone on the table with the mic toward the hall because proof felt like a life jacket. 117. The kitchen faucet ran for 1 second and stopped. A single drip hit the sink and sounded like a nail. The stove display flickered. The word flashed once like it did not like this hour either. I laughed once and heard a second laugh behind mine, not from my mouth, on the tail of mine. 123. The bathroom fan came on by itself. The door clicked. I stood. I said, "No," but I moved anyway. The fan went off. The knob turned a hair, then stopped. The house waited. 131. A neighbor upstairs walked. The sound was big. I was grateful for it. I wanted to text anyone, but my phone still sat with no bars, and the little record dot was red and steady. The stove time blinked. It rolled down like a countdown for a second, 130, 129, then went back to 131. I felt something pass behind my chair, cold on my neck, warm on my cheek, like a person had leaned in to look at my screen. 138. The voicemail icon blinked again. I did not touch it. I could hear my own breath on the recording anyway from the app. I could hear the house. I could hear a second breath in the room besides mine, lighter, too regular. 144. My name came from the bathroom. Clear, calm. Same old man voice. It said, "Sit." I sat. My legs obeyed. I did not look back at the hall. The hour felt long, heavy. 152. The lock on the front door clicked against the deadbolt like someone had turned a key on the other side. A soft knock followed. Not a fist. The side of a hand. The old man voice said, "Open." I said, "No." It said, "We do this again." The stove rolled to 159. The living room light went full bright, then dim. The bathroom door opened by an inch, and then closed again like a pallet, checking a word. My phone lit with a new voicemail. I waited. The stove rolled to 1 o'clock. The hour reset. The voice in the bathroom sighed. The heat let go a long breath. My body hurt like I had been braced for a punch. The phone found bars again at 103 like nothing had happened. I pressed play on the memo. I heard my own cough, my own chair creak, and the other breath, steady. And at 159, I heard the old man voice move close to the mic and say, "We do this again." And then at 101, I heard a word I did not hear with my ears the first time. It said my last name. It added a street number. It said, "Downstairs." I did not go. At 2 o'clock, the clock stayed put. The house felt like a tight band had been cut. I slept in the chair with the lights on and the bathroom door propped with a shoe. The next morning, my neighbor on the first floor sat on the stoop eating a donut at 7 a.m. He looked gray. He said, "You hear anything last night?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Me too." He rubbed his throat. Kept saying my dad's name. He's been gone 10 years. He shrugged like he did not have a drawer for that. Now, every November, the night we fall back, I go to a friend's place. I don't want that hour in my house. I don't want the voice to learn new words from me. I don't want to hear "We do this again" from the other side of a door I can't lock. Story 3. I wiped frost from the plastic marker and read my own name on the fresh grave, today's date under it, and the flag beside it lifted in a wind that had not started yet. That sight locked into me. It was Veterans Day, gray dawn, the hour when a cemetery is most honest. I was there to place flags with my uncle. He is the quiet type. Served a long time. Walks slow now. He keeps a list of names in a folded paper. We start on the far side by the hill and move row by row. It is simple work and heavy work. The frost makes the grass shine like it might crack. Our breath looks like secrets. The town is silent except for crows. We had half our bundle left when my uncle said he needed the truck for more flags. He pointed at the next row. "Finish these 2 lines," he said. He left me with a small stack and the list. I nodded. He drove off. The sound of the engine faded, and I was alone in the white air. I moved along the stones, reading names, placing the small flags at each veteran's marker. Some stones were new, some leaned, some had pennies on top. I do that when I see them. I say the name. It feels right. I reached a section with temporary markers where families were waiting on real granite. Thin plastic, clear covers, little metal spikes. The frost makes them hard to read. I knelt and wiped one. The letters came up clean. Different last name. I set a flag. Next one, same. A third, same. Then the fourth. The letters looked wrong. The second my glove cleared them. My first name, my last name. Same spelling, same shape. I laughed at myself because fear is dumb until it is not. I wiped harder. It did not change. The date below said today, not year of death. Today. My mouth went dry. I looked behind me like someone would explain it from the air. Wind did not exist yet. No sound but my jacket. I touched the plastic again to make sure I was awake. It was cold. I stepped back and tripped on a small flag and almost fell. That is when I heard shoes on gravel. Not my uncle's slow step. Quicker. I turned. A man stood 2 rows over by the tall evergreens. He wore an old field coat. He did not look up. He held a clipboard and wrote like he was taking inventory. He did not have a stack of flags. He had one tucked under his arm. I called, "Hey, sir?" He did not answer. He moved to the next stone and wrote again. I said, louder, "Excuse me." He turned his head then, not all the way. His profile looked cut from cardboard, flat light on a flat face. "You're early," he said. His voice sounded young and old at the same time, like a recording of a person who had not slept. "Early for what?" I asked. He nodded at the marker with my name. "For that," he said. I felt my legs want to run, but there was nowhere that was not this place. I said, "Is this a prank? Because it isn't funny." The man smiled in a way that did not reach the eyes. He looked down at his clipboard again. "You're early," he said again, like he only had certain lines to read. He walked on. I stepped between stones to close the space, anger louder than fear for a second. "Who put that there?" I said. He did not look up. "People put things where they belong," he said. "It makes it easier for everyone when they arrive." The word arrive made something behind my heart pull. I pulled my phone to take a picture because proof is how we fight the unreal now. My phone screen showed only frost glare where my name was, glass where words should be. I lowered the phone. The letters were back, black and neat. I took another photo. Frost again. I wanted to smash the plastic, but could not make my body touch it. The man in the coat had moved to the gravel road. He wrote a last line and then raised the single flag under his arm and saluted the empty path. He lowered it and tucked it away again. He looked at me full on now. His face had the wrong light, no shine in the eyes, no breath. "Place your own," he said. He nodded at my small bundle. My fingers were stiff. I set a flag at the marker with my name because my body obeyed the part of the world that says things have a place. The little stick went in easy. The cloth tipped and held. A crow landed on the big oak and called once, like it was marking time. The sound broke my stare. I turned to find my uncle's truck, but the man with the clipboard was gone. I looked for tracks in the thin frost on the road. None. I jogged to the gate. The truck was not there. My uncle's phone went to voicemail. I stood with my hands in my jacket and tried to be a person again. After a few minutes, the truck pulled in. My uncle rolled down the window and said, "You good?" My voice sounded wrong when I answered yes. He got out, looked at my pile of flags, and then at my hands. "You're shaking," he said. I said, "We should go." He squinted. "We finish," he said, kind but firm. We did. We worked the row until there was one flag left in our bundle. "One more," he said. I knew where it was before he walked. He stopped at the temporary marker with my name and froze. His jaw tightened. He looked at me once, and then he pulled a tissue and wiped the plastic like he could wipe me away. The letters stayed. He did not say my name. He read the date, and his mouth thinned. He took the last flag from me and set it there without a word. He stood straight and saluted. Then he turned and said, "Come on." His voice was a different color now. We got in the truck. He did not put on the heater. He drove with both hands at 10 and 2, like it was a test. We did not speak until we hit the main road. Then he said, very flat, "There are lists for everything. Paper lists, lists in heads, lists in places you don't see. Sometimes they get the order wrong, sometimes they print too soon." He looked at me once and then back at the road. "Don't go back today," he said. "Don't give it another look." I did what he said. I went home and sat with every light on. At night I checked my photos. No picture of the marker would show the letters, just shine. But when I opened my phone's calendar, there was a new event for today at dawn. It said only my name, and beneath it, one word. Placed. I deleted it. It came back in recents with a gray clock next to it. I turned off my phone and lay awake until the next dawn broke and I did not hear crows. I have not gone back at sunrise since. I go with my uncle at noon now. We say names in full light. We keep the flags in order and hold the list tight and leave before shadows get long enough to make space for a line that has my name on it.